Welcome back to the Strategy of Everything. This episode is called The Strategy of Saving Christmas, and you'll soon find out why. I interviewed my friend Jay Perry, who is the founder of a fundraising organization in Hamilton, Ontario called Friends with Hearts. And so Jay's also an artist, an author. He's done TEDx talks. He's one of the most genuine, authentic people that you could ever meet. So just sitting down and talking to him is always a blast. So the reason if you're watching the video version of this podcast right now, you'll wonder why I'm sitting in a car recording this on my phone. And after you hear our conversation, you might know a little bit more why. We talk about just stripping things down, just working with what you have, just getting things done and keeping it simple. And, it's Saturday morning right now, and I was planning on going back to the office next week to record the intro and the extra for this podcast. I just decided, based off of what we had just talked about, and I'm looking through the clips and listening to Jay talk, and I was like, let's just get this done. Let's just use what we have in front of us, get the episode up, and that way I can get it out early next week and not at the end of the week. So two big takeaways from this conversation with Jay. Number one is just, again, refocusing on keep it simple and just do what's in front of you. And then the second one is really just authenticity. Just be yourself and just stick true to yourself. And Jay's one of the most inspirational and motivational people that you'll probably ever meet. He's the most humble guy you'll ever meet. He doesn't think he's done anything special, even though his resume, is kind of off the charts. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation between me and Jay. Stick around at the very end. I pitch a podcast idea to him. Well, I've been pitching it to him for years, and I think I'm finally starting to make headway. So if you're a fan of snack foods, specifically potato chips, stick through to the end when I try to convince Jay that we should make a chip show. Anyway, without further ado, this is my conversation, the strategy of saving Christmas with Jay Perry.
I hope I'm a decent guest. I know nothing about strategy.
I know this is the best thing about you. This is my favorite thing about you is okay. Because listen, if I was going to introduce you to an audience, I would say something like, our guest is a professional photographer who has worked with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Toronto Raptors. He is also a TEDx speaker, a published author, a podcast producer, and the founder of a local charity. I'm thinking of other things. He's also been a member of a successful local rock band from back in the day. And I would say, this is Jay Perry, everyone. I think, oh my God, Jay, he does all this stuff. He's so interesting. And then you're like, I don't have anything. I don't know anything. I don't do anything.
I got to bring you around, man. You're like my hype man.
But put it on paper. That's your resume.
Yeah.
You put that on paper and it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. You know what I think? Let's just jump into it. I have some ideas for sure.
No, I think this is great. I think this is exactly what I was hoping would happen, because I already have an idea. So welcome to the Strategy of Everything. What I'm doing is interviewing people who do cool things and then breaking down the strategy of how they did them or how they do them with these tools that I've created. And it's like from outside the business world. So whatever it is that they do, I've interviewed TSN hosts and Food Network chefs and people like that, and then use these tools to break down the strategy that they use to be successful in that world, and then apply those insights back to business or marketing or whatever the case may be. So that's the kind of premise of it and what we're talking about. So I figured you were better than most people that I could talk to and pick your brain about. So first of all, how's it going?
Good, man. Yeah, you?
Good. Yeah. No, it's been good. Yeah, Calgary's cold, much colder than Arizona was.
I was supposed to be there last week, dude.
You were? You didn't come out?
Yeah, just work conflicts. I have a client that wanted me to go out to, they had somebody speaking at the G7 summit.
Oh, cool.
And they wanted me to just fly out there and do some stuff, but just work. I had another job and just couldn't happen.
That would have been awesome. The owner of that resort, the Kananaskis Resort, the owner of that resort is on Crosby's hockey team.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was giving me the whole breakdown of I was like, how does that even happen? How do you get into the business of the G?
Yeah, I'm guessing they made some good money during that
I
few
think
days,
so. I
right?
would imagine. I think they
Yeah.
had to like rent the place for like a month for 3 days, basically, because
Right.
of all
I
the
guess
like
the security
work
would have
that
had
they
to
have to
like
do.
comb
Yeah.
through that. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. It's pretty elaborate, but that would have been cool. Why don't you just come out for Stampede? It's like
When's
next
that?
week. It's next
Next
week.
week. Interesting.
All right. Next time.
Yeah. No, dude, it's not a no.
Sometime soon, you got to come out here. Anyway.
100%. But yeah, things are good, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Busy.
So
Busy.
I thought, I don't know, you've probably got ideas, but I thought one of the most interesting things to talk about would be Friends with Hearts.
Sure.
And kind of like pick your brain on like hear the story a little bit more of
Yeah,
how
we
that
can. Dude, we can talk about
came
anything.
out.
And I'll talk about why I don't think I have strategy, but I think I do in some areas. But yeah, we'll just kind of see where it goes. And,
Yeah, here's the thing though, like everybody says they don't have a strategy. Everybody.
Yeah.
And then we have these conversations and then they're like, oh, I guess I did have a strategy. Because here's the thing is like, I think most people really overcomplicate strategy or what they think strategy is. And so it becomes this huge like plan and all these things and all these different moving parts of a strategy is really just what do I think it's going to take to get from point A to point B.
Right.
And so the rest is all planning, right? Like the strategy is just how do I think I can approach this goal?
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And so if you simplify it, and that's what the strategy of everything's all about. It's all about like making it as simple as possible and clear, because most of the time strategies fail. It's because it's either not clear to everybody who's working on it, like what they or why they need to be doing it. And it's really hard to communicate, right? So everybody it could be a brilliant strategy. Somebody's put together this like 80-page strategy deck and nobody knows what the fuck they're supposed to be doing, right? So that's kind of like the whole premise is just like figuring out what those ideas are. How did you test them? How did you figure it out? How did you, and you're not doing it consciously necessarily at the time, but now you look back and like, oh yeah, I did do that.
I definitely got things I could talk about in a lot of different areas, and kind of what I'm seeing as strategy going forward, not just for myself, but like for what I think that the best like world strategy should be in the next 5 years.
Totally.
Just like a theory.
Let's just dive in. Let's start with, I think to like a lot of the things that people, just to bring people up to speed, why don't we just start with like, what is Friends with Hearts? Where did it come from? And we'll go from there.
So Friends with Hearts is just in its simplest terms, a fundraising organization where we sponsor kids at Christmas. And that's our simple goal is every year we have a goal of giving one kid a Christmas. And we started that, back in 2010 now. 2011? Yeah, 2011. And that was the simple goal of just kind of like me reaching out on Twitter and saying, hey, does anyone want to donate $25 and we can sponsor a family at Christmas? And it kind of just grew from there. Zero thought of where it would get to today. Never intended that, but it's just kind of exploded for a local organization that only focuses on it seasonally.
Right. And so 14-ish years. My math is not good. But yeah, 14, something like that years.
Yeah, we did our 14th year in December of 2024.
And so over 14 years now, how many, the goal was 1.
Yeah.
And now how many kids' Christmases have you actually?
You know what? It's got to a number where I don't know exactly, but if you want the number, I'm in front of my computer right now. Because it's wild because, like I said, the goal the first year was to raise $250, because the reason we got that $250 mark was what we do is we partner with actual charities to get the kids that we sponsor and the families. And at the time we had partnered with the Children's Aid Society, and they had told us that it was roughly $250 to sponsor one family, give or take. So that's where that number 250 came from. So that's where I reached out, 9 other people, donate $25 and do that. And then that year we ended up sponsoring, I think it was 3 families, and raised like $1,400 or something like that. One big family and whatnot, but it was kind of cool. So fast forward to now, and see, the crazy part is we'll never know exactly how many kids we've sponsored, but we have a rough estimate, and we go on the lower side. So what we can do is 100% document how much money has come in. So in those 14 years, we've raised $388,825.92 and
Who
sponsored
gave them 92 cents?
uh, so what happened was, one year I tested using GoFundMe for some stuff, and the cents
Mhm.
kind of round off with like the pay or the money that they take. You know, someone donates X amount of dollars, they percentages come off, and so it worked out to like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But what's cool is, you know, we say we spend every dollar that comes in,
Mhm.
and it's funny. So a lot of the money that's remaining at the end will go buy gift cards for Walmart. So we'll buy like a ton of them, get a stack, and then the last one we'll be like, okay, can you make this one for like $46? And they're like, what do you mean? Like we so thankfully that they can do it to any denomination. So that's how we can
Right.
spend every dollar. But all in that said, we've sponsored it around 6,080 kids since then. Now, I do think it's more because what we don't account for in these numbers, and we can't, is all the donated gifts.
Mhm.
So that number is like thousands and thousands and thousands, and those go to kids too. So this is just a rough, low estimate, which is still mind blowing
It's crazy.
to me.
6,000. I remember the tweet. Like, I remember when you were like, hey, like, we're trying to do
Yeah,
this. And you're like, hey,
especially for
here's
something that just
25 bucks.
runs once a month,
Yeah.
right? For 14 years, we launched it November 1st, and then it's over. Now we have had other cities involved too over the years, which has been cool, but
Mhm.
it's definitely grown for sure.
So when you start out, like, I'm sure it's probably more difficult than people think to be like, hey, we want to raise some money and give it to a charity. And charities are like, we can't take this, or we won't take this, or whatever. Like, what were some of those like initial hurdles that you had to
Yeah,
like, that you may not have seen coming that you're just had to deal with?
right. So first of all, it's like, okay, the idea came to me about sponsoring a family at Christmas. And then it was like, well, how the heck do I do that? You know, it's like, how do I just find a family? Well, okay, partner with a charity. And then now you have to explain to this charity what you want to do. But it was very simple back then because they were just like, okay, if you raise this money, we can give you wish lists from these families, and then you can go buy gifts and then you donate them. What ended up happening was we got all the gifts and then we wrapped them. And actually, my mom wrapped every single gift. So that was technically the first wrapping party, was her by herself wrapping all these gifts. And then we would deliver them to the families. Sorry, we'd deliver them to Children's Aid. And that was that. And they were happy. It was nice and organized. This bag for this family, this bag for this family, and whatnot. So that was pretty easy year one. The challenges started to come when it was going to grow, because it was fine back in the day when it was just my friends giving me 25 bucks, 50 bucks, and no problems. My friends trust me. Year two, we doubled everything, and we started to get some donations from people that I had no idea who they were, friends of a friends. So that it became even way more important to document every single dollar that came in, and I still do it to this day. So that was not an issue so much, or a challenge, but just an extra part that I never saw in coming, because it was never intended to double. It was always supposed to be like, I had the idea of like, hey, every year let's get a group of friends together and just sponsor a family and call it a day. But it grew, and I didn't say no to it growing. Second year, it was the same thing. You know, we would say, hey, we have X amount of dollars by, you know, December 1st. Okay, you guys are able to sponsor this many kids. Here's wish list. Same thing. And then year two, it was like, you know, like, okay, this is cool, but let's involve the community a little bit more. And that's when we started the wrapping party, where we get the community together to wrap all these gifts. And it was about maybe like 10 or 12 people that showed up. Again, just friends. We wrapped the gifts, had a great time. We gave them to Children's Aid. Third year is when we faced a lot of challenges. So what happened was we launched in November and we raised money. In mid-November, I got an email from Children's Aid saying, hey, Jay, I know you're raising money again. I saw it online, but unfortunately, the government cut our funding to this Christmas program, so we're not doing it this year. Sorry. So it was like, okay, like I have all my friends and other people's money now. What the heck do I do? So I was kind of scrambling around to find, how do I spend this money and give it to these kids at Christmas. After a little bit of research and fortunately calling around, we were able to partner with another charity, kind of like the last minute in Hamilton, who we're still partnered with, Good Shepherd. And they were like, yeah, we have a Christmas program for sure. If you want to donate gifts, did a similar thing, and they did wish lists and whatnot. The problem with them was they need all of their gifts delivered unwrapped. That's kind of their program. And I was like, well, so I had to go in and speak to, the people in charge and kind of convince them how important this wrapping party was. And we were even so small then, but they saw the possible plethora of gifts that they were going to get for these families, that they made that work. But then that was a little bit of a challenge that we faced, to kind of having to convince them that this was perfect. So it made changes to their program just so that we could come on board, and the partnership has been amazing ever since.
What made the
So that-
wrapping party like so vital for you that you were like, we have to do this?
Yeah, so for two
And like
reasons.
make them change that.
One thing is, I love, this is a community thing, right? And it's bringing the community together. It's very easy just to hand over $1 and call it a day. I wanted, me, I'm not nervous about people not trusting me, but I want to make sure everything is so transparent when it comes to money. Because one wrong move and this thing is done, right?
Mhm.
So it was important for me for people to see hands-on, hey, this is where my money's going, and also be a part of a team. Because although I started it and I know that a lot of the recognition comes back to me, sometimes I'm like, I don't do much. I post stuff on Facebook, on Instagram, and collect money and do this, but it's like because of people who donate, but also people who come to the wrapping party, people who share what we're doing, I think is the people who actually make it happen. So it's a whole team effort. The wrapping party is so important because it also, like, I think it just kicks off people's Christmas spirit. It also, I think things excel in a group, right? In that kind of power of many. And I believe everything is contagious. So when people see other people wanting to give back, they want to give back, they want to be involved. It turned out to be such a magical day that so many people look forward to it. I've seen kids grow up, their families bring them since day one. It's a wild experience. I encourage families to bring their kids because I think it really can teach kids the power of, or the importance of, giving back to others. So quick story was, my nephew was maybe like 4 or 5 years old, went to his first wrapping party and saw all these toys. And, as kids, their eyes light up like, wow. And he wanted to take them home and was just so confused why they weren't for him. So, we got him to wrap some gifts as best as he could, give a little bit of tape here and there. And then after a few years, he was one of the last people there helping to bag all the gifts and wrap. And he totally understands that, he's in a position that he has a Christmas every year, but some people don't. So I don't know. I think that day it's a powerful day, and it's part of the success of Friends with Hearts, I think. And I mean, I look forward to it every single year. So I hope that answered the question. I'm not sure.
No, yeah, that's exactly, and it's funny because again, when we start talking about these things, I mean, that's a strategy, right? Like using the power of momentum with people in a real place all together, especially now when everything's virtual and everything's like on Zoom, right? Like there is that belief for you to say, if we bring these people all together, we get more momentum. It means more. It has a bigger impact, not just on the people who are getting the gifts, but the people who are actually contributing to it as well. And that halo effect probably expands beyond what you're doing and helps those people have this perspective as well. So, I talk about one of the tools that I've been working on is called the Advantage Mirror. And what it's about is doing like self-reflection to figure out what your unfair advantage is. Where do you have advantages that you can take advantage of to capitalize on to achieve a goal, to achieve some of these things? So the 4 kind of elements of that advantage mirror are You look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, you look at your values, and then you look at your unique experiences. And so you take some time and look at those things and write it all out. And all of a sudden, you can be really explicit about these things. So in that moment, you weren't like, what can I do to gain momentum? But your unfair advantage is number one, you have a pretty broad network. Like, you know, a lot of people know you, like you, trust you. And then the piece that you were talking was really jumping out is like the value that you have of like, I want to really make sure people are seeing the transparency of this. That's like an inherent value that that led you to discover like, oh, this strategy is actually, oh, and now it's doing this thing. Oh, it's making this all better. It's really important. We have to hold on to that, you know? So I think that's like a great example of a strategy in place that, you know, you can help, help propel what you guys were doing.
Yeah, like we've been friends for so long, and you know me, I've always been the guy that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I've had to have people like yourself and even friends tell me like, no, this is why it's working and this is what you're doing. I was doing all of that so subconsciously. It was just kind of ingrained to me that this is what I need to do to get the job done, to make it happen. But I think, talking about like unfair advantages, I was skeptical about like doing this because I don't see that I have any sort of strategy ever. But I think that my strategy could be my strategy, and just not to overthink things. And when I say I don't have strategy, I always like refer that to like, hey, I've never started a business that makes 7 figures, right? I've
never sat down and did a whole business plan and a whole thing.
Do I consider myself an entrepreneur? Not really. So that's what I see strategy. You said sitting down in meetings and doing this and this and that. But I think that I've always done things that could kind of be seen as strategy, where my biggest advantage, I would say, or unfair advantage, is vulnerability. 1000% is that I don't care what people think about me, and in a good way, in a humble way. And as men, I think it's important for us to be vulnerable, to show other men that it's okay to be open about who you are, what you're doing, or how you feel. And I think that's something that's always been a part of me, like with Friends with Hearts. There's a lot of emotion that pours into it for sure. And also why it works is because it's real and it's honest and it's no BS at all. I think that people tend to kind of like, I don't know, I think they want that, here's my theory on the next like few years in strategy. I think trust is going to be the biggest currency by far over the next 5 years. With how advanced AI is getting, if you can't trust the person you're speaking to, all is lost, right? I think there's going to be no amount of money that can buy trust. I think trust is a feeling thing. I really do. I think it's like, you want to call it an energy, a feeling. It's something that you can't act. It's something that you can't fake. The more that AI is in our lives and the more videos that we see, the more I think COVID helped us become experts in seeing through people. It's also helped with Friends with Hearts because I think people even kind of, need that connection because they're so lost in this world of fake BS that we're going for it. So, I had an interesting thing happen to me 2 months ago. I had a video go viral on Instagram, and first time ever. So it was a video I posted about the 10-year anniversary of my dad's passing and how I was feeling in it. Now, at the end of the video, I put, DM me if you need to talk about your loss. At the time I had like 4,000 followers. So, my videos maybe got like 700 views, 1,000 views. So the 10 or 15 people that would message me, for sure, I got this, no problem. I had no idea that it would reach 3.5 million views. And this was back in April. It's now early July, if it's okay that I date stamp this. I'm still getting messages every day, consistently, 30 to 40 messages a day. Back in April, when it was like really exploded, I was getting about 100 messages a day from people. Now, most people would just kind of be like, damn, that's a lot. Man, I was up for hours and hours and hours writing every single person back, because what an opportunity to prove my word and prove my trust with these people, because this is the currency I see going to the next level. And if I had the opportunity to make someone's day better, sign me up. Sign me right up. These are the kind of things that I think that AI cannot replace. And it's why I think that transparency and honesty are going to be the biggest drivers for success over the next 5 years. I mean, it's always something that you've had to have somewhat, but I think we all know that you could fake it, but I think that's gone. I think you cannot fake it anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that front. I think number one, you know, yeah, you're one of your unfair advantages, which you probably have many and are too humble to think about or talk about, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, you'd have to
being
tell me.
being vulnerable is definitely one of them. Like being that guy who's just like, that's how we probably got to know each other. So well, we just would talk about stuff, you know? And so I think that shows like a genuine, authenticity
You know,
to
if I
people.
jump in for a second, what's funny is like growing up, your parents always would say something like, like be nice to everybody because you never know when it's going to come back and either bite you or not bite you. And it's like, it's never rung more true in my life than it has been over the last few months. And even over the last 14 years with Friends with Hearts, because there are so many people that donate to Friends with Hearts that I haven't seen since high school, but I was always so nice to these people in high school and vice versa, right? I think it's important just to give people the time of day. It doesn't mean you have to like hang out with them all the time on weekends, but I think just acknowledging their presence, present for them has been so valuable in my life. And like you mentioned, like this network that I have is because of my parents, right? And how they raised me just to kind of treat people with respect. Everybody. I mean, I'm sure there's people that don't like me and that's fine, but I think it's important just to kind of treat people like human beings.
I think that's like such an underrated skill. And we've all met people who like, you're hearing me, but you're not listening to me. You know what I mean? You're just kind of like, yeah, okay, buddy, sure, kind of passing it on. But the people who can make you feel like you're the only person in the world in this
Dude,
moment, and
it's
we're
funny.
just talking, and I'm like totally engaged in what you're doing and what you're saying. And I actually genuinely care about what you're saying. We may never talk again, but in this moment, you feel like you're the center of the entire world. People who can have that skill, who can do that, make people feel that are, that is like such a powerful.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because a lot of the people that have been messaging me on Instagram are talking about their loss and then a lot of them are asking for advice on, hey, I'm grieving, I'm feeling like this. Do you have any advice on how to get over this? And my thing is always like, no, I don't have advice, nor am I qualified to give advice. But what I do have are great ears. So I'm here to listen, tell me what's going on. Right. And a lot of the times it's just people needing to kind of get this out. Like I said, listening is so underrated. It's such an underrated skill. And few people are great at it. It's one thing that my dad passed on to me is the ability to listen. He was never a loud outgoing guy. I'm not a loud outgoing guy, but giving people the time of day is also an unfair advantage, right?
It really is, because I don't think most people just don't do it because they're too busy and whatever. And not sometimes it's not malicious, but they're just, it's not. I'm busy. I got this. I got kids are doing this. I got to pay a bill. I'm stressed out. I'm,
It's funny
preoccupied.
you
Sure,
say
but
that. Yeah, it's funny you say it's not malicious because you're right. They don't realize they're not doing it because I don't think they've trained themselves enough to listen, right? It's especially the world we live in. We live in this like super productive hustle, 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 go. And it's like, what do you want? You need to just go on now, now, now. Man, just 10 seconds. Look someone in the eye and just listen. It's so, so powerful. And sometimes, I need someone to listen to me too. And you gain so much respect for the other person that not using this is kind of a weakness, right?
Oh, for
And
sure.
you say like, is it a selfish thing to do? Am I only listening for the benefit of both of us? I don't think so. You know, it's like going back to when people donate to Friends with Hearts, I post everyone's name online that donates for a few reasons, right? I just want to get people to, I want to say, hey, thank you, right? Now, I've been told that there are some people that donate just to be in that post, to see their name. And all right, fine, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what's happening is a kid is getting his Christmas, and win-win, amazing, right?
Yeah, if you really
So
want to be on my Facebook post, like, cool.
yeah, so I don't think there's anything selfish about that. Now, one thing I wish I could do, even just to make things more transparent, is I would to love to post how much they've donated, you know, a whole list. But I get that like some people don't want other people to see how much they've donated. 'Cause some people donate $5,
Yeah, and
right?
it swings both ways,
And that's
right? Some people
that's
be like,
amazing.
that's all I could donate, so I don't want to
Yeah,
be embarrassed against somebody else. But somebody else could
100%.
also be like, I have lots of money, and I also don't want to be embarrassed that I gave you a lot of
It's
money.
happened too.
You know?
One of the reasons I want to do that too, because I want to be like, hey, if you want to tally up the numbers at the end, these are everyone who's donated, and this is what we spend. Go nuts. You know, knock on wood. But thankfully, no one's ever questioned anything yet. But again, it's just transparency is so important to me, dude. I don't even take vacations around that time because I'm so nervous that people are going to think that I'm using that money. Like I had to go on a work trip one time during the middle of Friends with Heart season. I was not bummed out, but I was just like, man, like I'd hate it. You know, like I say before, I don't care what people think about me, but that would bug me. That would bug me if somebody questioned my commitment to this drive. That it really would.
You're probably a bit extreme. That's probably a bit far. Like, I don't think, and I think this is actually part of one of the challenges, just because I know like everybody who's donating, no, I can't imagine anybody's like going to come question you about it just because of like, if they know you, right? Like it makes no sense. But one of the challenges, and we've talked about this a little bit before in the past, but it's like you're not an official charity. And so there's pros and cons to that, right?
Yeah.
So being not an official charity means it's unregulated, really. It's literally just like $300,000 have gone to Jay.
Yep.
And Jay's done God knows what with it, right? Whereas if it's a charity, then it's like, yep, here's your receipt, here's a thing,
Yep.
here's all the board and all these people who have to do it. So how did you navigate that? And why make the decision to not make it a charity? Like what were the kind of thought process as you were going through that?
So there has been thoughts about making it like its own charity, but why I don't want to do that is because ultimately we would be doing the same thing. We'd be giving kids a Christmas. What comes with that is just like having to have a board of directors, lawyers, money, so much more paperwork, filing, when the end goal would be exactly the same. So I feel like I found a loophole in this whole charitable space where we partner with the charity. We can get tax receipts for people. So we can get tax receipts from the charity to get to people. Now, it's funny, like we used to do that for every single donation. And I mean, I was learning. I had no idea that like I always thought, oh, you donated $5. I'll get you a tax receipt. Having no idea that like that's going to do nothing for their tax, right? But it was more about me, again, transparency. Yes, this money did go
right, and
to the
validity
cause.
and like,
Yeah. But it was just like there were so many people donating and it was just like it was so long and like nobody wanted it either for $5, $10. And I didn't know that. I just made sure I wanted them to have it. So now what we do is we kind of do like these business sponsorships, we call it. And to do that, if they donate $500 or more, they'll get their name on the website. They'll get their name on this big banner at our wrapping party, and we get them tax receipts as well. So I'm assuming that some of the businesses probably do it for the receipt, and that's fine. If they're going to give, they have to give anyways. Great, give it to us.
right.
That goes to the kids. But those some businesses now are giving thousands of dollars as a donation. To me, the tax receipt also shows that like, hey, this did go there. I know that they trust me. I do. And it's just that extra little kind of peace of mind for myself to say like, this is legit. Like, cause we want you to keep coming back and back. We want
Right.
you on the team. Anyone that donates, we say it's part of the team. So it's that little piece of extra kind of like trust, I think. Now, it was never a challenge to kind of like get the charity we're with to kind of be on board with that, because they see the amount of stuff we've come in. We've turned into the biggest Christmas charitable, whatever you want to call it, organization in Hamilton over the past few years, which is wild. And I think it's because every dollar that comes in goes back to the cause. Now, I do want to state that I'm not against people getting paid who work at charities. Not at all. I think that they should be getting paid a lot more than they do because they're doing such great work. It's just because we're not a charity and it's totally volunteer. This is kind of like one little thing that we're able to do. And because it's seasonal, just Christmas, it's not our full-time job. I take some time off work, a couple weeks. We can do that. Every dollar goes to the families. We've had a lot of people trying to tell us to change that, but I'll never change that.
Yeah, I think it's different too. It's like your mindset. And so the first one of the things we talk about in strategy is like, what is the ultimate goal you're trying to achieve? And so I think for Friends with Hearts, it's very clear, like your goal is to impact as many families as you can. And so if that's the ultimate goal, then these decisions based on our values, which are also like staying true to this and, being transparent and all of these things, like that's the goal. Our goal is not to scale to a global organization. That'd be great. But for what we're doing and how we're doing it, that's our goal. That's our mission. So you're using that as a strategy in a way to keep the vision on the tracks without letting it go all over the place.
All my strategies are definitely subconscious. I think my biggest strategy is just not to overthink things. I think once you start overthinking things, it's, I don't know, maybe kind of the world saying like, this is not the right idea. I believe that everything should be simple. It doesn't mean it can't be hard work. I just think it's got to be simple. So simple. Do we want to grow with Friends with Hearts? No. I have no intentions of growing this, but I'm not going to say no to it growing. I love where it's at right now. The way it grows is more money comes in and we have more kids to sponsor. Nothing else changes.
Yeah.
So that's just dependent on more people getting involved. Again, if that happens, that happens. I'm still going to push out the same material I do every single year. So that would be the strategy. I mean, it's wild because the intention was to impact the kids, but you're right. It's impacted so many different people on all kinds of different layers. And it's wild to witness some of the stories that come back out from the families and what we've been able to do as a group.
And it's been going on so long. Like some of the kids who you've helped over the years are adults now. Right? Like has anybody come back and been like, hey, like, or would they not know that it was where it came from?
Here's the one thing I don't like is I would love to do like a Friends with Hearts Day, right? Where we give the gifts to these kids and I get to see it and witness it. And we take all these pictures and videos and like do some heartwarming thing. But I get it, confidentiality issues, because we give the gifts wrapped to Good Shepherd. And what happens is their social worker then comes and gets packages together and brings them to the families that they are taking care of. And we'll give like gift tags and stuff like that. So what happens is, they'll give it to mom or mom and dad or dad and, hey, here's the gifts. And then mom or dad will write on it to so-and-so from, but now it's up to them what they want to say, mom or dad, Santa, but it's in their hands. So if they want the kids to think it came from mom and dad and not a charitable organization, great. That's fine, right? But so we never know the kids' response, the reaction, and whatnot. I have a couple stories, and one is we were delivering the gifts one year, and it was a week before Christmas. We got to get these things in early, and we brought them to this family shelter where they were kind of being stored. And this family walked in, and they had these two young kids, and they walked by all these wrapped gifts, and their eyes just lit up, and they're like, "Are those for us?" And it was like a very rewarding moment because it is a lot of hard work. It was kind of cool to like witness the joy that was on those kids' faces. It reminded me of like me as a kid, right? And just being like, Christmas was a fun day. It was a fun morning, right? I mean, we can get to in the whole like materialism thing. We get messages all the time. You don't need to buy kids toys and this and that. And just like, hey, not now, right? And it's
Yeah.
it's so fun to have these kids be included with their peers and get to enjoy Christmas. Now, an unseen kind of thing that happened was we gave our gifts to Good Shepherd one year, and a grandmother was able to get some of our gifts to give to her grandkids. And she hadn't been to the family Christmas dinner in many years because she never showed up because she was embarrassed showing up with no gifts because she never had money. So now she has gifts for her grandkids. She was able to go to the Christmas dinner that year, give the kids gifts from grandma, but also get to enjoy in the family dinner. And those are kind of the things that we don't realize are happening, which is kind of really heartwarming. We do get cards from Good Shepherd sometimes that the kids do send to them. I guess that some of the families will tell their kids, hey, these came from Good Shepherd, and the kids will write them a letter, thank you, whatever. And they know that the gifts came from us, so then they'll pass the cards on to us. So we have a few cards that kind of say thank you, which is cool. You know, I always talk about this is something that is also, it's built on trust, but it's also built on faith. Faith that what we are doing is working. Because like you said, some of these kids are adults now. Was that Christmas morning that they now have something pivotal and changed their life? Maybe, right? Maybe it was pivotal for the parents. Maybe it was one of those things where it was like, this sucks. You know, this sucks that I needed help this year to give my kids a Christmas. Never again. I'm never letting this happen again. And maybe they changed because, like I said, it's built on a lot of faith, and we don't know what's happening, but we just have to believe that what we're doing is making a difference.
Well, it has to be, right? Like at the end of the day, it's it's even more unbelievable of like how much time and effort and all of the years and hundreds of thousands of dollars that you've raised when you just kind of like, yeah, I don't actually see the result. I don't actually like know. But I think it speaks really clearly to like you have a very clear vision and belief and values that you know that that's having an impact, that has to have an impact. We've all been kids on Christmas morning, right? At some point in our lives. And whether, at the time you realize that, because I'm the same way. I'm a huge Christmas guy, right? Like I love Christmas. I always loved Christmas. It was always like that magical thing. And my kids love Christmas, and our families like, and again, sometimes they're bigger Christmas years, sometimes they're smaller, but we, it's all about the season and the thing. And if you think back to like, man, imagine we had nothing, or imagine that didn't happen, or you'd have that, very well the tangible outcome that would happen, right? You know that would be really, really hard. So it's interesting that you like know that that's happening, but you don't actually know that that's happening, right? But there's like probably a million more stories, like the grandmother who's like, now I can go to Christmas dinner. I mean, there's over 6,000
Well, let me
stories.
Let me play podcast host for a second and ask you, because I think, it's not just the kids that we're intending to help. I think it's so many, a circle of people I think that can kind of be impacted from this is huge. Again, going back to, I believe everything is contagious. You tell me, when you see all my posts, all the names, the money going up every year, does that kind of make you feel like something that there is still good in this world? Because that's kind of also why I do it during some crazy times that I just kind of want to give people hope that, A, look at this massive group of people that are caring about others right now. When we see all this like war and fighting on TV, there's actually hope. So I'll ask you what do you feel when you see all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely see that. And especially because I've kind of seen the whole thing grow, right? Like from day one, just have seen it. Like every year, I'm like, holy shit. Like it always grows and it always gets bigger. And so yes, definitely like when I see your posts and things, but I know you. You know what I mean? So what I feel like where I see the bigger impact in every year, the like holy shit factor grows and grows, isn't because the dollar, like, of course, like they're completely correlated, but that group of people just keeps growing, right? And that just keeps spreading. More people. And for me, I'm always looking at like how many more kids, how many more Christmases, how many more families, you know what I mean? And so watching that grow from 3,000 is the part where I see that positivity and I see that like, holy shit, man, like one tweet, you know what I mean? Look what it, and I know there's like tons of work after that, but like one tweet changed 6,000 families Christmas morning,
Wow, man.
which is like one of the greatest memories for most people, right? So that's what I think about when I see it, because I look at it and I go like I'm not surprised by what you're doing. I'm surprised by like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then that impact is bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know, thinking about how, you know, how those people have gone on, like how does that change? Is there, you know, because if like look, as a parent, you know, it's really hard to be a parent, right? Like it's really hard to try to give your kids everything that they should have or that you want them to have. You want them to have a better life than you had, and you never want them to feel left out or feel like they don't have as much as other people. And of course there's levels. You're always trying to like teach your kids what's most important, but you never want to be in a situation where you're like, I need help, right? Or my kids are going without. And even if in the, you know, sure, Christmas morning gifts are probably more superficial than like food or shelter or things like that, right? But you never, as a parent, want to see that. So to feel, you know, what that would feel like, or to know what that would feel like, I guess, to say, we need help to go and do this, to make that like the positive impact of those people then trying to change to make it better and better. Like there's this halo effect that you probably will never really know the extent of, whether it's through the kids who you know had the experience, the parents who appreciate it 1,000 times more than the kids, even though it's way harder for the parent. I can tell you that for a fact, because like, listen, we've all had Christmases that you don't remember, right? Like you remember some of them as a kid, but you would remember getting no gifts for sure.
Yeah.
But a parent remembers every single one. It's so much more of a thing. So the parents are probably more impacted. Then you have like that family around those people. Then you have the volunteers, like just the halo effect and the halo effect of, you know, this thing growing exponentially. You know, you'll probably never be able to measure.
So I think that we're going to have a record year this year, only because I truly believe that right now people are craving community so bad. A lot of it is subconsciously, they don't realize it, but they need community. And we're going to hopefully help kind of facilitate that, especially with the wrapping party. Being part of this community that we're creating, even if it's digital, even if it's online, I want people to become part of what we are doing. I think COVID killed that. You know,
Totally. And then it's been
it sucks.
exasperated by the leaps and bounds of technology at the same time.
100%, man. 100. You know, like it's that weird catch-22. It's like you're in a completely different province, and we're able to do this podcast because of technology. Like this would be so much more cooler in person.
It'd be way cooler,
right?
100%.
But getting it done is the most important part, right? And like, if you want to talk about strategy too, I can give you a funny story. So my strategy now going forward, it's been for the past year, and this is what I'm trying to really push on all my clients, is screw technology and screw technology, because I have the most expensive cameras and all the lighting, and I could set it up and make you look like you're in a movie. But if you get on that mic and you can't say anything and your message isn't clear and it's just garbage, none of the cameras matter. None of it. I'll give you a quick example. When setting up for this podcast, I had set up my expensive Blackmagic cameras and lighting and everything. And I'm like, I can't. What am I doing? This is not who I am, right? And just like shut it down. And now I'm just going off this MacBook computer, right? It's like we spend all this money on these computers and we don't even use them to their full advantage. Would this be better if I had my more expensive camera? No, I don't think so.
The conversation
You know?
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
No.
So my strategy, and I think a lot of people should kind of really push the strategy of like, don't overthink the situation. Keep it so simple, so simple, because you know what? Someone's going to look at this and they're instantly going to be able to tell it's probably not AI. AI is getting better and it's going to be soon hard to tell, but I can kind of spot it right now. But people don't want perfect anymore. People want honest. People want authentic. People want emotion. I think people don't want to see your content. They want to feel your content. And going forward, that's just what my strategy is going to be.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, I've been thinking of something similar, especially in marketing, right? Because in marketing, it's like AI is coming for everybody in marketing, right? Like that's the whole, and it is like you can write things faster, you can do this, it can design things for you. And I know that there will be a pushback at some point, and there'll be this premium put on like real life things. It's already happened, like slowly. Look at the like return of vinyl. People are collecting CDs again. People are wanting to, a lot of brands are going and doing these pop-up community-based marketing things because it's tangible and people want to see it and it's real. So I think there will be a premium that'll end up being put on like real human interaction and human tangible things, because everything will be fake and everything is like, yes, it looks great. It's the same thing as, you look at a Hollywood film, right? And when we were teenagers, it was like everything was practical. There was film that couldn't get wasted, right?
Right.
And we had to blow up that car and the thing had to shoot out and people had to fight and I had to jump off the building, whatever. All of that stuff had to happen and we had to capture it and we had to use this like really finite resource of film. That became digital. Now we can do it 50,000 takes, but then we can add all the special effects. So now we're watching, these like comic book movies like play out and it looks amazing and it looks great, but it's not real. And we know it's not real. But then if you see something who's like, oh, they do their own stunts. Oh, that was a practical effect. Oh my God, that thing was actually real. It changes the experience for everybody entirely. And so I think there will be a swing back, just like everything, where, the tools and the AI platforms, and especially when it comes to content, people like, cool, you made a fake person who looks like a real person talk. I'd rather talk to a real person, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think that'll ever change. I think people will come back to that like community-based thing.
I hope so, because I'm banking on it. I mean, I'll be honest, I use AI pretty much every day.
We all do.
For the stuff, the client work that I do. But like I said, I still think that authenticity is the way to go. I think there's going to be people that will be able to use AI in a way that's authentic, using it as a tool to further what they're doing versus having it create everything for them and just being so fake.
It's the artificial part, like
Yeah,
ironically.
I think it's going to kill the internet. I really do think AI is going to kill the internet because eventually we're going to get to a point where it's like, is that real? I don't know. So I'm just not going to invest any time.
I'm not going to look at
watching
it. I'm not going to watch any content.
Yeah. For instance, like the other day, the president down south there, he dropped that F-bomb on TV. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah.
And somebody sent me a video of it, like a meme on Instagram. And I just sent back a laugh, assuming it was AI.
Mm-hmm.
Only to find out later, no, that was actually real. So this is the kind of mindset I'm already in, is now I just went to AI instantly. That was my first thing. And I was So that kind of framed my mind of like, okay, what's happening? Why did my mind just instantly go there? Because it's happening. It's here. And I'm not against AI. I think it's, take my jobs, take everything I have. If what you're going to do is like solve all of the world's diseases,
Right.
make
Solve the
somebody
problems.
walk again, save someone's life because you caught something early, perfect. I love it because I'll get on with my life. I'll figure something out because I don't want to see people suffer. So if we can use it, I mean, technology is always good and bad stuff with it, right?
Of course. And it's always been the argument. It's always, you know, been the catch 22 of like technology kind of since the dawn of time, really. And now, again, even going back to the idea of like CGI special effects, it's like, it looks cool, but is it there? I'm just going to assume it's all fake.
It's funny you say that because like, if people ever see like some of my photos or like some of my artwork, they always assume that like my favorite genre of movies is like horror movies or like crazy action transformer movies. But I struggle watching transformer movies or superhero movies. I have to be in like a super chill mindset or mind frame. I mean, I took my niece and nephew to see Thor one summer at the theaters, and that was fine, right? Because that was a fun day out with them.
Right.
But I love drama movies. Now the one horror movie that I love is a Blair Witch Project, the first one, which should be and it is, but should be such a case of like, you don't need crazy technology to make somebody feel something. You just need a great story, a great narrative, and the ability to tell it well. And who cares about all? I mean, Transformers cost millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and it could flop, right? But that shouldn't make sense because people say, well, the more you pay, it should be better. No, it's emotion, right? People want to feel something.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as you were talking, I was thinking about it because, like, I don't really watch superhero movies at all. Like, I've seen some. I used to back in like the original Batman era of like when they were starting to, because I loved comic books. I would rather read a comic book than watch a comic book.
Interesting.
And so, because it's like, oh, this is the story, this is the thing. I'm also imagining a lot of it as I kind of would go through, and it gives you that like incomplete cliffhanger series of things. It's like, oh shit, man, this isn't done. Now I have to wait another month for the next one. The next one. It's another thing about like as technology is advancing, like how people consume content in this like binge it all at one time versus having to wait. And I think even episodic television, right, has kind of been killed by that because it's like now we wait. Oh, it came out on Saturday and everybody watched it by Monday. Everything's done.
Yeah.
Instead of it taking time.
I'll be honest. I'm a binger, if that's the word. So if a season starts, I'll wait the 8 weeks so I can get it all done on one day because it's easier for me to give up 8 hours than like an hour 8 times. So I like that, but that just shows you where we're at in the world. Like
it's pretty good choice, really.
Yeah, I ordered something on Amazon and it's like, what do you mean it's going to take over 24 hours to get to me? This is what we're thinking now. Yeah. You're not going to get here in the morning. What do you mean? And we are so driven by this like fast go, 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 go. We need it now. The microwave society, right? That another one of my strategies for going forward is shut off. I think that everybody wants to be different. The person that's different is going to be the person that succeeds. Makes sense, right? Yeah. Who's doing something different. I think the only way to be different is to shut off because nobody's shutting off right now. Increasing like meditation times, getting off your phone, go for walks without your phone. I think it's so, so important because I think that the AI, the algorithms, whatever you want to call it, are so much smarter than we think. Insanely smarter. We think they're doing one thing. We think they're showing us the content.
Yeah, we're like 5 years behind.
Yeah,
of what they're actually doing.
I think what they're really doing is they're able to program what we like, how we feel, what 100%. We want to buy. And it's like, no, I needed that tennis racket because I really love that brand. Well, fast forward, rewind like a couple of years, and we've been seeing these little targeted ads every so often. So I think that it's so much smarter than we give it. The way to get around that and just to think for yourself is to just get off it. Now, easier said than done. And I'm in that group of like, well, I need it for work, right? And that's kind of the default. But I'm trying my best to not need it for work and not need it to, live my daily life. I have a rule now. People send me memes. I only check memes after 8 p.m. Give myself a half hour to go through, give a couple ha-has and, shut it down and just try and really clear your mind. I think if people want new ideas to come in, they have to have space for it. So you got to get all that garbage out to make room for something better and something awesome. Because otherwise we're just being told what to do and how to feel, how to think.
Yeah,
But again,
and there's this like manipulation of
yeah,
your emotions and your time and your stress and your anxiety. Like my wife and I both kind of like got off of social media almost like 2 years ago, maybe now. Like outside of LinkedIn, we really don't go, like I don't really go on anything anymore for that reason. And at first it was like, oh my God, can you go a week? Can you go, oh, you can. Oh, look, nothing changed. Wow, literally nothing. Oh, okay, cool. Actually, I feel less anxious about stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say lots
I'm
probably
less
changed,
like
but in the
worried
positive.
about what these people are doing or that people are doing. And you start to get into this habit of just like constantly, it's like keeping up with the Joneses on steroids, where you're just constantly looking at everybody else. And that makes you feel like shit, even though maybe it shouldn't because you're fine, or there's something you're doing fine.
I had like kind of an epiphany a couple months ago or whatever, where I was really focused on identity and, hey, I'm an artist. I'm supposed to look this way. I'm supposed to dress this way. Okay, let's do that. Let's be who I'm supposed to be. And like bought all these clothes online, spent like a few $100s, maybe up to like $1,000 of like the clothes an artist is supposed to wear. I got them all. It came from all these stores. And I tried them all on. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I just don't feel right. It just, that's not me. Returned it all of it back. Right. So one night I realized it's like, I was looking at my life from the outside in. I was looking at it at how I thought people were perceiving me. And the switch I made is to now live my life from the inside out. And to me, what that means is what value can I provide in the situation that I'm in every time? Instead of caring about what I look like or what I think other people think of me, it's like, what value can I provide at the certain moment? And it's kind of had a real big shift in my life. I stopped thinking of like, am I good looking for this? Am I ugly for this? And just like, how can I be of assistance here? And it's been wild. I saw something today. It's like Jerry Seinfeld is like voted like the ugliest celebrity. And the photo they have of him, it's like, it's a pretty bad picture. And I'm thinking like, man, like this guy's like a billionaire and appearance does not matter at all. At all. Again, it comes from like what's in here. So it was a pretty cool moment to realize, just to start living your life from the inside out.
No, totally, man. And that's a great way. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I love that. We could talk all day. Like that is just the way it is. Before we wrap up though, we do have to discuss one more thing. And it's been something we've talked about for a couple of years that I'm going to continue pushing for, which is we should be doing a podcast all about chips. So
okay,
both big chip advocates and fans. And this idea kind of came around when I was living in the States and you were in Ontario, and we would ship each other like weird flavored chips back and forth. And I was like, what we should be doing is recording this and just opening the chips and eating them and then talking about it and recording it. So now it's on the record.
I mean, you know me, man. Like I'm also a big chip fiend. If we could figure out something that does make sense. It's interesting. It could be a cool hobby to do for me and a cool experiment, because a lot of things that I've gone into, it's like, okay, like how can we monetize this? You know, how can this be cool? How can this like, and then the pressures start coming on
Mhm.
where it's just like, hey, let's just do this.
Yeah, let's just
have
eat
this
chips
for
together, and then
ourselves.
I'll
And
ship you some chips, and you don't open it, and then you ship me some chips, and I won't open it, and then we'll just open them and try them.
interesting.
And
Yeah,
that'll
I'm
be
always
it. That's the whole
open
idea.
to do something cool with chips.
I mean, people on that set, like, what's the like Hot Wings show on YouTube? Like they just made a hot sauce show and asked people questions. Like literally, you can niche down to anything.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm not even thinking of this as like how you monetize it because you could figure that out at some point if you wanted to. I just think people love chips. That's it. I do. I think we can't be the only two. That's all I'm
So
saying.
you're thinking like a chip review show?
Yeah. Well, could be chip review. Could be like chip. We could have chip facts. We could do some chip research. Maybe talk about like a chip company, and then eat some chips. I wonder
Let's
how many
talk.
people love chips. There's got to be a lot. It's a very popular food.
I will say this. I know very few people, if any, that don't love chips.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's a whole aisle at the fucking grocery store, Jay. All chips.
My favorite
All
aisle.
they do is it's all chips.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's not another food in the grocery store that's just one food all the way down.
I'm sure I have like an empty bag in my garbage right here, right now.
That's right.
What's your go-to chip lately?
Lately, the number one chip in my life is the Kirkland pink Himalayan salt ruffle chips. I don't know. I think that
Are they just
they're like
kinda like
kettle chips.
A regular flavor though? Is that
Totally. Yeah. It's just
any
plain
dip?
Oh yeah. There's a queso dip at Costco. You grab
Interesting.
that and then you go around the back. You grab the giant bag of the pink Himalayan sea salt chips.
There we go.
They're the best chips for 100%.
Interesting.
What about you?
I'll have to
What are
try
you
those.
eating these days?
I mean, my go-to is always just a Lay's ketchup, just to kind of keep it simple.
So Canadian.
Yeah. So like my Sundays or like Sunday nights are like bag of chips and watch a movie, just shut down. So I've been rolling the Lay's ketchup. You know, Doritos have been coming out with a couple new flavors. I don't know if you tried the cheeseburger ones.
I haven't, but I saw the golden sriracha ones the other day.
I
The
had
bag
those.
looked sick.
So I'll tell you this, that I can't do spice, and they'll say they're spicy, but they're not because I can do it. They taste great.
I'm here for that.
If you see the cheeseburger ones, try them, because I will say this, never before has a chip company nailed a flavor like the cheeseburger Doritos.
Really? Like it?
They
Really?
taste like a McDonald's cheeseburger to a T.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go tonight and I'm going to get some.
Worth the
I got to
investment.
look for them anyway.
Yeah.
Where do you get them? What store do you go to?
I'm usually like a shopper's drug guy.
Okay. I'll take a look. We have
Yeah.
different stores out here too. Like there's not all the same grocery stores in Alberta than there is in Ontario. So I'll have to go take a look. Also, we went to the beach yesterday and I took a can of original Pringles as well.
Nice.
Just classic.
Solid. Can't
Just-
go wrong.
No, they're the best.
I buried some sour cream and onion Pringles yesterday.
Another good one. Pringles, I feel like I don't like to stray too far on the flavor. Like some of
Okay.
them are it's just too much. I don't know. I like
Like the pizza nacho ones they have now.
they're like once a decade, maybe. I've had like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pizza Dorito, the other or a Pringle, but I'll go with the original Pringles, and then the sour cream and onion Pringles are also banging.
Nice. Dill pickle ones are pretty good too.
Yeah. Okay.
Highly
The
recommend.
hot dill pickle Miss Vicky's are also fantastic.
So again, spice thing.
They're not
I
that
wish
spicy,
that
though.
I wish they weren't spicy, man, because I
But then they wouldn't
wanted-
be spicy pickle. They'd just be pickle chips.
I know, because I wanted dill pickle Miss Vicky. Also wanted ketchup non-spicy Miss Vicky, because I do
Yeah,
love
that'd
a
be
Miss
fire.
Vicky. Oh man, me and spice. Like if I was in the Hot One show,
You
I
just
would not-
look
there's-
at it and be out.
yeah, there's no way I'd finish. No chance.
Awesome, man. Well, great to catch up chip with you. And yeah, let's I think this is just, we may have just recorded the pilot episode. So awesome, man.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, there you have it. That was my conversation with Jay. If you want to help out with Friends with Hearts this season, you can go to friendswithhearts.com. Every single dollar just goes to helping kids have a Christmas. So we'll probably reconnect with him around the Christmas season when they're doing their drive. But if you'd like to connect with him, leave a comment on here, DM me, whatever you want to do, and I can connect you with those guys. You can also just check out the website, like I said, friendswithhearts.com. So hopefully you learned a little bit, found some interesting new strategies that you might be able to apply to whatever it is that you're working on. So that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Strategy of Everything.